Hey there, my name is Pravus, and welcome back to more Settlement Survival in our small town of Rellyton, celebrating the full release of the game. Again, this video is sponsored by the developers, a big thank you for that, and you can find a link in the description down below. So we have managed to get a lot of our necessities taken care of. We're trying to get our food underway. It'll be a lot easier once we start harvesting a whole load of peas. Population is growing at a decent-ish rate, and we're getting a lot of other luxuries out of the way as well, and by luxuries, I mean happiness and health. These are things you can totally forego if you absolutely have to, but I don't feel like I need to, so we're trying not to here. The big thing that I'm running into is we're going to have some issues for domestic fuel this particular year. As long as we're producing just barely enough to keep us afloat throughout this winter, then I think we're going to end up being just fine, and I'll probably leave the water sawmill on this for a bit longer. At some point, I'm going to get rid of this chopping house. If we want to have a second water sawmill doing the same job, that's fine. It's just more efficient in general, so we like that. All right, let's kind of jump forward to the end of this winter because not a lot's going to go on for another couple of months. Okay, we've run out of materials to continue making some clothing. The good news is we were able to bump ourselves up to 81. That's enough to sustain me for at least a little bit longer, but we're going to need more leather, wool, or alpaca wool in order to get that going, and ultimately that comes down just to hunting. I could assign an extra person over here by allowing a second job to occur and assigning someone. I think I will. There are plenty of animals around, and it's not just about getting food, it's about getting those crafting materials for the tailor. So having a larger hunting cabin, or at least a more in-use hunter cabin, is going to make a big difference for us in the long run. Now, are there any jobs I can kind of omit right now? I do want to continue making some tools. I think if we're going to take off some jobs to work on getting more food, we can lose the fishing dock. That said, I need enough food just to sustain myself to the next harvest. I'm hoping that this is not the wrong decision. And maybe we can drop one of the builders for now and just get down over here. I don't know. It's just really important to me that we're able to get as many of these farms going as we can. 6 is probably the most I can currently field. I'm trying to get some food diversity here, but peas are the heavy lifters. The output is just so much better. It takes longer to grow, but as long as you can sow this stuff and harvest it fast enough, which we can, thanks to our investment toward the farming efficiency tech, then we should be able to get this to work. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this chopping house, as I said I would. There is a delete button somewhere. Where are you? Maybe I have to go for demolish down here in the commands. Boom. Okay, so let's go ahead and demolish that. There's just no reason for it. I'm going to have people working full-time around this water sawmill. If I ever find myself needing planks, we can turn this on to planks again. But for now, it's just a more efficient way of getting the domestic fuel. So let's leave that on instead. Actually, something we could do is get the material recycling tech, and that means I recycle all materials whenever I demolish something, so we get all of that back. Excellent. All right. I don't know what we needed in order to finish this task goal. It says that we need to start sowing after choosing some seeds in a couple of standard fields. I think the issue is that I was creating my own fields instead, so if I just click down 2 of these, there we go, get that. Boom. All right. Now, oh, actually, we got a whole load of tasks I can finish out now. Okay, we've done a bunch of those things now. Yeah, I've already kind of jumped ahead. I didn't really need the tutorial, but it's nice to do anyway because it gets me some silver coins. And whenever we do have some traders come through, you never know if you want to buy something. Can be helpful. Unfortunately, we're now reaching a point where I am out of food. So we need to start producing enough food just to sustain myself for at least a little bit. I'm going to turn off this forester. I think we planted down enough trees. Let's get back to the fishing just so I can get some food to kind of keep things going. I've got 3 people working at the hunter's hut now. Again, just sustain myself a little bit. We got to last until, what is it, August for the tomatoes, I think. And then maybe like September or so for the farms. It's going to be tight. 3 more births last season. I mean, it's good to see the population going up. It's bad to see that we have more mouths to feed. And remember, if you find yourself in dire straits, it's okay to just start gathering some random plants out here. Get some of the tomatoes and stuff. Get some onions. It doesn't matter. It's all food. Ooh, looks like one of my buildings somehow got damaged or destroyed. Okay, this thing needs some repairs. Yeah, buildings do have some durability issues and eventually start to decay. We are going to need to get a repair shop built up. That's going to have a person assigned to go around and repair things whenever we see issues. Notice, by the way, my food is starting to jump up a lot. We're only just now hitting autumn. Excellent, excellent. Okay, we're looking a lot better on the food standpoint. I told you these farms were good. What should I do with my other tech points? You know, it wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and research the warehouse. Bigger, better storage facilities, so we don't have to rely so much on these tiny little storage yards. I do tend to prefer these things. They're a little bit bigger than I can currently afford there, but it's fine. All right, March is here. Everyone get out into the fields. Start planting those crops. You got a very limited time window. Hurry! But notice, by the way, we're going into this year with 1,000 food instead of only a couple of hundred. So we're now starting to hit the up and up. As long as we keep doing this, we're going to have enough of a stockpile that I either need less farms or we can continue sustaining more population growth. What do I want to do with my next science point? If I'm honest, what I really want is paper. It does so much to boost up my research institutes. I mean, I could have more than one research institute, and that would also boost up my science gain, but paper is even more effective than having like 3 or 4 of these things set up. The only downside is it does take some extra jobs. We need to have a paper mill, we need to have a reed farm set up, so it takes a bunch of extra labor just to support it, but it pays for itself easily with the sheer amount of extra science you get. We do have over 100 clothes, so that's good. We've caught up on that. I'm going to start producing some extra tools, and that'll solve that there. Food is starting to look really good all of a sudden, and with an extra person working at a well, I think water's fine. So the big thing that's now going to get me killed if I'm not careful is going to be 2 things. 1, we need to have lots and lots of lumber, so getting extra foresters' huts isn't the worst idea. This thing is producing a little bit, but it's not an absolute ton. So more foresters' huts could be good, or just be ready to deforest a large area. 2nd, stone and iron ore. These are 2 things that we have a lot of deposits on the ground right now, but once we've mined those out, that's kind of it. So we will need to get some mines and quarries going, probably this video, in order to stay on top of this. Otherwise, it could sneak up on us and we have no construction materials and we all just die. If we're worried about water, another thing we could do is get ourselves a reservoir. This takes some sand and some clay, which we could build out, but we haven't done so far. Produces large amounts of water. The only downside is you need to place it next to a lake or a river, which we do have. So I'll go ahead and unlock this. Again, not something I can build this exact second, but something I'm going to want at some point. Aha! And we've reached a population of 50! Okay, so if you have a town hall, this means you get to choose an administrator, somebody who's going to give you some sort of a benefit. Maximum warmth means that people can go out into the winter for longer before they need to go back to a house to heat back up. So that's not bad. Livability proficiency. That also could be good. I don't remember exactly what it does, but it's good. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up Tiffany. Let me see exactly what that gets us. So basically what ends up happening is as you start either building structures within certain categories or generating experience, let's say get a lot of science, blah, 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 you become more proficient at something like trade, mining, agriculture, whatever it's going to be. When you get extra proficiency levels, things happen. So for example, by getting 1 star in livability proficiency, we now have a 10% boost to the vitality of our citizens, so their health goes up and their stamina goes up. That's the same thing as them being able to go out there and just work a little bit longer. So that's almost the same thing for us as having the max heat, but it applies year-round instead of just during winter. I'm going to go ahead and say that that was the right choice. And that looks to me like a bunch of immigrants on their way. Excellent, fresh blood. Let's go ahead and start preemptively setting up a bunch more houses, because y'all know they're gonna need them in just a minute. Oh boy, yes they are. Come on over. Warm yourself by the fire. This town is developing well. They take us in? 11 more, yes. Do it. All right, population goes up. That's a lot more laborers. Hooray! Of course, we're gonna need more farms to make that work, but that's fine. We've actually got plenty of food, 3,200. Heck yes. Ooh, unfortunately, someone was sick. What do you have over here? What is this little disease? Measles. Uh-oh. Well, I don't have the tech I need to cure that, so hopefully you can go into the clinic and we can find a way for this to work, but I'm hoping you don't end up being contagious. Willing to guess you're gonna be, though. It's always the risk of taking in the immigration. You never know if any of them are carrying some contractable diseases. How are we gonna get around the fact that there is measles? I guess something we could do is try to build a home somewhere and quarantine them? Yeah, we can try to tell people if they've got the measles to go and stay somewhere else. Certainly stay away from the urban population, because otherwise, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a problem. All right, let's prioritize getting a house over here. Takes a little bit of finagling to make this work. I'm kind of disabling the house with the person who's sick and trying to get them to work over here. Harry's the one who's sick now. He's our doctor and self-treating himself. That's not going to work out well. But yeah, now he lives off of this direction. It's fine, though. At the end of the day, as long as we can get this contained, then we'll end up still having more laborers than we started, and I can go ahead and start setting up some mines. And that is what I want to work on probably next. If we can start mining out some coal, so we don't need to rely so heavily on our wood in order to make domestic fuel, we're going to find ourselves in a much, much better position. Mines are very, very big buildings, and they do need to be kind of built into the side of a mountain. That's kind of one of the tricks of these things, is you got to find a good mountain with the right shape in order to get this thing built out. Where can I place you? The answer is we can fit it right over here. It's a little bit further away from the base, but it's not all that bad, so we can make this work. All right. I think we got ourselves a winner. We're going to start mining out a lot of coal. I've actually changed the working location for Harry. I want him to go be a forester, so he works kind of far away from other people. So literally, he's just going to plant trees until he dies. I don't know, I find there's something slightly poetic about that, don't you think? Oh, and there he goes. He's dead. All right, measles problem solved. And we only lost 3 people to do it. It occurred to me I've done something inefficient with this well over here. We could have actually just turned on 2 jobs at this well and closer to the storage, and that actually makes more sense. I'm going to swap the person who was here and let them fetch a pail of water over in this direction instead. If we need to open up another well later, we can do that. Another tech point available. What do we want? What do we want? Great question. Refined fuel is only good eventually once we start using forges. We're not at that stage of the game yet. Fishing nets. You know, this would be a way of making something to make our fish actually a little bit more effective. So it could become a little bit more competitive. Still not great, though. Apiary for some beehives, get honey and beeswax, food and stuff. Yeah, but I'm still not quite at the point where I need that. Honestly, I think we're at a stage where it's okay just to hold on to these science points. You never know if we're going to have an emergency situation and we wish we had a point to pick up some crucial building. And I don't need any of the current options, at least as far as I'm aware. It's better just keep building out what we've already got. Food is looking really good, by the way, and we're still harvesting more, so this is only continuing to improve. Excellent. And the mine is now done. All right. This is where I wanted to have a lot of my immigrants go and work. So let's start producing coal. We can start producing silver if we want some money at some point. Not a priority right now. And then iron ore. So now we at least have a source of this, even though I'm hoping not to use it for a while. We want to continue gathering things off the surface of the map rather than waste our time down here. Coal, on the other hand, though, that is a really, really helpful fuel. It's going to make it so we don't need as much domestic fuel over here, and we can stop using up all of my logs. This means we can move that on to using those logs for more efficient things and actually start building out our economy. Also, building a warehouse down here means that people will be able to go back into the mine and work longer, so they don't have to travel as far. The big issue I've got now, of course, is it's far from the base, which means when it's really cold, like it's about to be, people can start freezing. I would like to think that being underground in the mines is a bit of an improvement, but it probably isn't. One issue I'm definitely seeing happening a lot is we're getting tons and tons of people with broken bones or sprained ankles. If we take a look at here at the health tier, we can see that as long as we are between 50 and 100%, the chances of a bone fracture or a sprain is a lot higher. We really don't want health to fall below 50% because then you actually can have disease outbreaks, but we're avoiding that so far. We want to get health above 100% because then, as we're coordinated, we at least stop having the downtime from the broken bones or the sprained ankles. So if I can find a way to improve our health, that would be pretty awesome for us. A bathhouse is one way to do that. We would be able to unlock the soap workshop, taking fat, blubber, or beeswax and turning that into soap. If people can clean themselves, their health goes up. Now that makes a lot of sense for me. If we want to get things like fat, killing animals and maybe farming a few out in a pasture is certainly one option. We also already saw that an apiary with beeswax could be a thing. We could use this either for some candles or, apparently, for soap. But until I get myself some clay, that's not going to do me a lot of good. So, I don't know. We're still waiting to kind of get our population up enough where I can really open up a lot more production chains. But I do see this being very, very helpful for us. We need to be getting the soap. Also, simply by researching this, I think we could actually treat the measles. Is that correct? Yes. So if that happens again, we'll be in a better position. We can deal with it. Another winter survived, and this time I think we actually got through a whole winter without anyone dying. That's a good sign. We used up all my domestic fuel again, but that's okay. So I'm looking forward to seeing just how much value we can get out of these mines. Now, one thing to keep in mind is there is not an unlimited source of resources here. Given time, these mines can deplete themselves. This is where we're going to be able to get some upgrades, which opens up a lot more. We've got a bit of time before we have to worry about it. But in case you're wondering, getting things like the exploitation tech level 1, for example, opens up a mountain quarry and a senior quarry and so on, right? Or Or you could go for the open mines, senior mines, that kind of thing. You just go ahead and upgrade it, boom, all of a sudden you've got a whole new stockpile to work with. When you get down to the very bottom levels of your mining technologies, you can go for unlimited sources. And then you never have to worry about running out again. Let's see, what's this? Looks like we got another event. 20 refugees from a famine area are looking for relief. Huh. Okay. Well, we do actually have enough food. It's a little bit risky, but I can give up 1,500 food for this. Wait, we accept refugees? Is this just an immigration event? Ooh, okay, what happens? Oh, wow. Yup, okay, we just got 20 refugees. Wow, yes, Wes. Oh, okay. We need to grow our population, like, fast now. That is actually probably the largest influx of population I've ever had at this stage of the game. Wow. Okay, that puts everything into high gear. So we'll get some extra housing going for sure. Now I definitely need to get some extra food, but you know what? Getting something like a butcher and a vegetable shop is going to be one pretty good way of trying to stretch that out a little bit. So let's go ahead and get that set up. I definitely need more people working probably in the mine, so we'll start generating a lot of extra coal that way. That leaves me with 24 more workers. Wow. We're gonna need more food, so let's go ahead and set up some additional farms over here. I think that getting 3 more for now will be fine. We'll set up orchards and stuff at a later date. Let's just go with that. I would love to get some pastures going. Do we have any grasslands nearby to boost up our... Yeah, we have one way up over there, but I'm not anywhere close to that, and that's about it. Okay, so it doesn't matter too much where I place my pasture. The market is in range right about here. So what I'll do is I'm going to place down a couple more houses right along here, just so I can reserve this, and that's about as far as I'm willing to go there. Then we can go ahead and set up a new pasture over here, and it's still not going to get in the way of anything. I don't know how big I want to make this, really. I think maybe a 9x12 would be okay, but, you know, let's go for a 12x12 or something. If I can start getting some alpacas, that would be a consistent source of wool, so I'll be able to make more clothing when the time comes. I also think it can make some sense to build another one of these builders' cabins, because we have enough construction projects that 3 workers just ain't gonna cut it. So let's get more of that going. Also, it wouldn't be a bad idea to get myself a quarry. Now, once this sucker is placed, and this thing is huge, it ain't going anywhere. So be careful about where you place this and make sure you're happy with it. If we place it over a gold deposit, that's way over here, we would be able to extract that later if I wanted. There's more over this direction. Boo. Okay, well, where do I want to have a quarry? This thing is so big. We could set it up over this direction, but I think I'm going to continue saving more space around here for residential stuff. So let's just keep the quarry off in this area. I think this will end up being okay. New livestock acquired. Ooh. What do we get, I wonder? We have discovered turkeys, apparently. Some wild turkeys have been found, which means we'll be able to toss them in the pasture. Excellent. That's not quite what I was looking for. I was hoping for things like the alpaca. But it's okay. I will work with this. It means we can farm out a lot of food and also things like some feathers, I believe, which will be useful when I want to start making some bedding. One of the big issues I'm going to run into is we simply still are not building houses out fast enough for such a massive influx of population. I'm working on it. We're going to have to start setting up a new residential neighborhood over here, but it's still in range, I think, of everything we care about, so that's going to end up being fine. Yeah, we're still looking good here. We just got to build out quickly before winter comes, and I need a lot of domestic fuel. We can start producing a bit extra over here, but again, the mine is going to be our saving grace. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and bump this up to the maximum of 10 people. So far, only produced 200 coal, but that 200 coal is going to go a long way. With some new tech points done, what else do I feel like I'm going to need right now? Upgrade some mines and stuff, not quite yet. Cut stone will be good. We want to upgrade our roads, but not yet. I could go for that apiary now. Start working toward the beeswax. We got enough people we can make that work now. Nothing else here strikes me as extremely important. The mill would be nice at some point if we want to start making bread, but we can't do that yet. Fodder is the thing we could do where we take some beans, turn it into fodder, and just greatly increase the viability of our pastures. Tempting, but not quite what I think I'm looking for. So yeah, let's, well, the hospital's also an option, actually. This, unfortunately, takes bedding and steel. I don't have that. All right, let's go ahead and grab the apiary. So we'll be able to get some bees and stuff. We want to place that in heavily wooded areas. The extra beeswax can eventually lead to some soap. If we're going to have a lot of housing issues, one thing we could do, and this is a fast setup, is to go for some interim housing. So you place a big boarding house, basically, up over here, for example, and a lot of people can live in this area, and they'll wait here, a nice sheltered area, until some houses are built. I kind of like the idea of placing one of these down. I didn't really love it originally, but now I'm thinking we might need that, because I'm not confident we can get this before things start getting cold in about a month. Yeah, it hasn't taken long. A lot of people are starting to get really cold, and we don't have enough housing to go around. Come on, guys. Build this out fast. We've got 6 builders. How quickly can you build some interim housing now that the frost is starting to hit? Yeah, I wouldn't want to be any of those refugees. I don't know if we necessarily gave them a better condition to live in. We are also running completely out of water. Well, that's no good. I have 4 people working on that, but it's not enough. All right, well, at least the interim housing is set up. All of these people now should have a place to go. It's just taking a second to recalculate. There we go. We no longer have a homeless population. That's good. If we're going to get some extra water, I think now's the time to go ahead and start doing that. So let's go under the resources and place down another one of these big wells. I guess we could place it here. Is there somewhere else that would make more sense? It needs to be kind of close to some of the storage. Can't quite fit it over there, but I could fit a small one right here up against the quarry. That works. Sure, build a small little well right over here. It's space efficient, dang it. The pasture's about to be set up too. Okay. We got a couple people who can work here. Might as well do the turkey. This mostly just gets me meat. Oh, no feathers. Darn, we need like geese for that and chickens, I think. All right. But we do get some dried animal dung out of this. That can eventually be turned into more domestic fuel, or better yet, we can start turning that into fertilizer. And if you use that on farms, not fields, but farms, it actually should translate into some extra food productivity there. We don't have a lot of spare food, considering that we did a lot more farming this time around. That's scary. All the more reason to continue getting things like the butcher and this vegetable processing plant up and running. I need to find out just how effective this is going to be as far as increasing how much food we have. We're still pretty low on materials, out of water, doing okay-ish on stone, but we're about to use a lot of that up. And as far as iron ore, at some point we'll either need to get a second mine, or we need to translate away from coal temporarily whenever we have a lot of domestic fuel and start producing iron instead. We can swap back and forth if we need to. That's not a big deal. One of the big problems I'm going to run into is we're still a little bit far away from this river, and I really need to work my way down over here for a lot of different reasons. Our water problems will be solved if I can get a reservoir built up. That'll generate a lot more water. I also really want to get a reed farm going so I can make that paper I've been talking about, because that really will help me get tech points very fast. So many tech points, I won't really know what to do with it all. But I can't really fit anything else around this lake right now because of the very unfortunate placement of these mountains. I guess I could demolish the fishing dock. We're not going to use this again because it's just not effective enough for what I need. Build another one over here? Okay, maybe. But where it is right now? Absolutely not. So this will free up a little bit of space. Maybe I could get a reservoir over here. Oh, wait, and all of a sudden we're actually finding we have some water coming in. Well, what do you know? Okay, here's the butcher. So we can get some meat chops going. Just takes basically whatever meat we've got, and that includes turkey, plus whatever else we're going to have, and makes these meat chops. Okay. So it's a 1-to-1 food ratio? This may not actually work the way I remembered. We may not need to do anything with this. Can make cured meat, and that's nice. But if this doesn't translate into extra food in total, then really what's the point of this? I don't know if this does me any good, actually. We may want to turn this off temporarily. It will be important later. Especially when we get a barbecue up and running, but for right now, I'm not confident it translates into extra food. Let's see what's going to end up happening with this veggie processing center, and maybe that will be a little bit better. Let's see, new recipes. Okay, vegetables turn into veggie salads. Okay, so it ends up still being roughly equal. So an onion, one onion, can fulfill 8 hunger. Take 20 of these, it makes 10 veggie salads. Which really, this would be just like nothing but an onion salad. Kind of gross. But anyway, so that means that one of these needs to make 16 hunger for it to be about the same. The advantage, really, is it fulfills the same amount of hunger, but it increases happiness. Improved happiness is actually a good thing for me right now. I didn't even check that with... I didn't even check that with the butcher. Hold on. Does the same thing happen here? No. Okay, so the meat chops don't give you extra happiness, but this does. That's good, because if we can get our happiness above 100%, we can get rid of a food consumption malice that's starting to hurt me, especially at a time when I have a larger population where I may not be generating enough food anymore. So, yeah, I think that's still worth doing, even if we don't get extra food. It could eventually turn into extra food just by getting happiness over the threshold. Whoa, we have a fire. The game does warn you when you have a natural disaster on the way. This should be fine. Lots of people are going to drop what they're doing and go and put this out, and problem solved. As long as you got water nearby, you'll be okay. All right, we've stabilized in some ways, but we're still struggling in others. Getting clothing, for example, is looking like it's going to get harder and harder for this to work. Food is starting to run out. I'm going to have to build out at least a couple more farms, especially in the bean field, in order to make that last a little bit longer. The pasture will help eventually, but not until we have a lot more turkeys. So this is kind of a longer-term investment. What we may want to do is get another one of these hunter's huts, at least temporarily, because not only do I get extra food, but also I'll get some extra materials to make clothing. A longer-term solution for clothing would be to start going for things like weaving, get some textiles, and we can start turning that into clothes as well. That means we will need a lot of flax or cotton. I would like to do that. I think we're going to go ahead and spend a tech point here as soon as I have one. We could set up some extra farms since I have a little bit of extra population to work with. And, you know, they don't even have to be farms per se. They can just be fields for now. We can do this and start farming out some flax in preparation. There we go. Okay. So, of course, this does take up almost the rest of my laborer pool to make that work. But, oh well, this is what we need just to sustain ourselves. Once we're balanced again, and I have a good sense of how much food we are producing and whether we'll be okay, then we'll be all right. But yeah, we need to get that hunting up and running. We need to start hunting a lot more bison, alpaca, whatever it's going to take. Get that leather, get that wool, make some clothes, or else we are on the verge of another death spiral. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. And again, thank you to the devs for the sponsorship. Of course, you guys can find a link in the description down below if you'd like to learn more about settlement survival. In the meantime, I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, hit the notify bell. And I will see you guys next time.